Aiyuk on a points per game basis is the wide receiver 9 over the past 5 weeks. Can he remain a wide receiver 1 the rest of the time? And that'll tie into a player, Theo, you wanted to bring up during this live stream is Brandon Aiyuk. He's consensus wide receiver 13 this week in the Fantasy Pros actually ranking his contest. But right now, I have him floating between 11 and 12. Should we be more optimistic, or is this the right price for Brandon Aiyuk?
I think you're pretty much spot on to be a little more bullish on him. I think that it's like nobody's even talked about it because of the Christian McCaffrey factor. That's a thing everybody wants to talk about, but it's a real changing of the guard between Aiyuk and Samuel in terms of who you're viewing as the San Francisco wide receiver 1. Where do you have Debo this week, Bradley?
Right now, I haven't settled on a spot for him, but for reference, Debo has finished as a top 20 wide receiver once this season.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I how can you confidently place Debo Samuel? Like, the consensus right now is wide receiver 10 on Fantasy Pros. He's wide receiver 10, and like that's a placeholder for me, but I'm not gonna rank him there. Because it's a contest, I'll probably move him down to like 18 or wherever, like one of the lowest, like wherever my peers are, like compare it relatively on that bell curve. But like, I don't have confidence that he's going to return a wide receiver 10 or wide receiver 12 value for you this week or even moving forward. I mean, look at the targets the last couple weeks. Like even against the Chargers, 6 targets, only 2 receptions. He had 4 rushes. It seems like the rushes stayed about the same, but it's the targets that have taken a hit.
So the rushes, he saw the most rushes were against the Chargers, and that was the team that you bring up as a sieve against the run. Everybody runs against. So you wonder if that was the game plan. He's not only competing with Christian McCaffrey for the rushing attempts, but now Elijah Mitchell. So you're talking about the rushing attempts will be there, but it's not those high value rushing attempts around the goal line that we were getting last season, where they got into the red zone. You would get those rushing attempts, and he was just the Terminator out there.
Right.
So he's getting less targeted. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk is a pedigreed player. He was a high draft pick as well. He flashed as a rookie as well, and he ended up finishing last season in the second half of the year. He did well. And then all training camp, we heard about the Brandon Aiyuk Trey Lance connection. And Brandon Aiyuk's going over 80 yards every single week.
Yes.
I believe it's 4 straight weeks over 80 yards.
That is true. 4 straight weeks over 80 yards. He's had 6 or more receptions each of those games. He's had 20? He's had 35 targets during that span.
And I think he had a big dropped touchdown, so they could have had an extra one in there. So again, like, to me, I think rankers are like really need to get over it and put Debo Samuel as a I would say a mid-level wide receiver 2, and I think Brandon Aiyuk is a high-end wide receiver 2. And I think if you want to make him a low-end wide receiver 1, I think that's a fine place for him, because I think that's what he is. Debo just doesn't excite me. We know Debo can go off, right? But at some point we need to see the production again with Debo Samuel.
Sam Hyther asks, play Aiyuk or Foreman full PPR? It's Aiyuk, right?
100%. I'm going Aiyuk.
Absolutely.
I think that's, and we talked about, floor versus ceiling. To me, Foreman's a low end RB2. If the game script is great, you'll like Foreman, but at the end of the day, it's with Aiyuk, all it takes is one big one.
Yeah, that seems to be what the commenters are saying. Aiyuk's not really that close, honestly.